Hi guys, welcome back. I have to say that this will be the second to last live streaming dedicated to the final episode of Shingeki no Kyojin. So we are reaching the end little by little. So next time it will be the last live streaming for this episode. So stay tuned and keep on watching me. Thank you so much for the support as always. And we are reaching the last scenes before the post credit scene that is that one of the boy and the dog. You saw from the thumbnail today we are focusing on Mikasa and for with also the other characters in some scenes while the ending song is going on for this episode. Actually, it's not the ending, but it's the song made by Linked Horizon. So the ending is something else. But anyway, thank you so much for the support. Today we are going to analyze these, and thank you because of the previous um, live streaming that was done was a pretty intense, full of symbols, full of things to say. So I'm happy that you enjoyed. But now, yes, now it's time to move on with this episode. So I wanted to check up really quick what we saw so far. So then I want to see if I missed something last time. I mean, in the last analysis, because there are so many things maybe to analyze, right? And maybe I forgot to tell you something. So stay tuned. Okay, let's go back really quick. Uh, I want to say one thing. I start analyzing really quick today, so we have a more chance to talk. In the scene where you see Onyankopon and Yelena helping helping the people who want to survive. Um, I see that Onyankopon is holding in his hands those boxes, let's say, full of these baseball balls and baseball gloves. This scene when he's raising these boxes reminds me, I think, yeah, one of the first seasons when. I think even Mikasa. No, wait. Even in the final season, when they were trying to do their best to um, evolve as a community. I remember that even Mikasa was raising these boxes, or even in season three, part one, while Eren was talking to Historia, you saw that Mikasa was always holding the boxes. I mean, she was doing. The hard job, but yeah, this reminds me a little bit of the first seasons when all of these people were doing their best to catch up, or anyway to uh, be able to do things as fast as they could. So yeah, this brings me really nostalgic memories. But in this case, you see that even these two new characters from the final season, they are cooperating. And you, yes, now I could see better than the last time. Maybe because the last time there was even the sunlight and I couldn't see these small detail. But here I can see that Yelena was crying a little bit. I mean, she was feeling emotional. I think that she had that feeling because, of course, in those boxes there are all the things related to Zeke. And I think that she knew, of course, that he died. And for her, it was like, as if I told you already last time, it was like the end of a period for her too, because for a long time she was always next to Zeke, listening to what he had to say. I mean, it was something natural, right? But now these feelings are gone. I mean, the respect that she had for Zeke probably will never fade away, especially because maybe she got in touch with the truth. That Armin had to say regarding Zeke and how Zeke cooperated to stop the rumbling by becoming a volunteer in front of Levi's eyes to be killed. So I think that even Yelena, um, by understanding Zeke's sacrifice here, could understand um, that Zeke was not just a plans, but he was able to discover something else. Before dying, and this is really important. But let's say that I think she feels emotional because everything that is in that box reminds her of Zeke too. So yeah, I was happy to see that even Yelena can get emotional, and then you see that those tears are gone, and she turns her face to Onyankopon to respond to what he has to tell her. So you see this fragile moment that is then going on, turning into the will to help others, and this new life that she will have. So as you can see, all these characters after the end of this story, negative parentheses that they experienced, they are all ready to start something new. Yeah, and even this thing of the new trees that are planted, um, even if 3 years have passed for sure, but these trees that they seem to turn into a new forest, as I told you, but this time the forest is not the threatening forest that we were used to talk about in season 4 part 2, and especially when they started rejoining forces. I think these forests will definitely have a different vibe. Also, because of the people planting those trees are no more the people. Hi, General Grievous 19. Thank you so much for the support as always. Yeah, but all these people who are planting these trees and they take care of the soil after the tragedy that happened. You see that the atmosphere is different, and maybe this will be a forest where people can go and feel still and don't feel as if something bad is happening, is going to happen. Also, because you know that throughout the seasons when we were talking about the forest, and not only for the final season part 2, but even in the previous seasons, you know that when you went inside of the forest, it was a pretty mischievous, it was pretty dangerous to go inside of it. There were lots of fights in the forest too. There were lots of moments that were feeding this negativity, but now it seems that everything could be different. Of course, all these characters who are trying to go on don't know what's going to happen, because only Historia knows what will happen in the near future to all of them, based on what Eren told her. But let's say that the only chance uh, they have to take is to go on living to see if what Eren told her is going to happen for real, or maybe in other ways, and whatever. For all the rest of the characters, it's just a new beginning, and you understand that when there's an end, usually the end connects to a new beginning. So it's not always something sad um, and something that brings destruction only, but it can bring, yes, regeneration. But now we have to see if this regeneration is going to take us to another destruction. So let's see, even with these after scenes where you can see how the story went on, even after they died, and I mean even after some of these characters died. So this is pretty interesting. I think that over there next to Gabi and Falco, There's even a Connie trying to plant a tree, if I'm not wrong. I can see him from his back. Maybe I'm saying something wrong. But by the way, yes, even this dawn that is promising something good, something really nice, describing this new beginning. You know that trees are like the lungs for us. I mean, they are our lungs. Until there are trees, we know that we can keep breathing on Earth. So the fact that they are planting other trees means that humanity will go on for sure somehow. And I really like that. Even yes, even when you see that Gabi and Falco are planting this tree, that seems more like a bonsai, sincerely. But later we know that this tree will grow, etc., etc. What catches my attention is the leaves. That you see on the tree that remind me exactly the leaf that Armin was holding in the moment he was talking together with Zik, because that leaf represents even these moments in life that you can catch, and thanks to them you can understand uh, how beautiful and worth is living. That tree that could catch for Armin important moments collected into memories. Um, um, it makes you understand that even if a living thing is not talking like a plant, can definitely influence you as a human being, that you can feel, that you can talk. It can influence your experience in life, your life itself. So, you know that Eren, Mikasa, and Armin were absolutely affected in a good way by the presence of the tree. So, uh, as you can see, even these small details, the fact that you see even Falco and Gabi's hands trying to do their best to put that tree in the right place and feel happy for that, it transmits even these other type of living things that are plants good vibes. You know that the more you treasure plants or trees, you take care of them, the more these kind of living things are responding in a certain way. So even these affection and these contribution they give to this process can feed the tree of good vibes or positivity in general. So that's why I'm saying that if the intention is good, then even the trees are responding in a good way too. And these forests that they are creating to um, let this population restart from zero. If you do it with the good intentions, then it's already a step forward. Of course, you can't change all the world, but definitely it's a great way to start. And then you understand, of course, I mean, Falco looking at Gabi and vice versa, you understand that their goal in life is to spend time together. So I think that this is pretty awesome. I open a bracket because I wanted to refer myself to another couple that is Armin and Annie. Many people were thinking, I also was thinking, that they would have stayed together even after. But I received some. I received. I mean, I found some videos of the after party of Shingeki no Kyojin in the final episode. This after party that started from the 5th of November till I think some days after the 9th or something. In which you know that in this after party there was the collaboration not only of Mapastagio with their staff, they were talking about Shingeki no Kyojin. They were saying, they were trying to comment. They were saying lots of things about the final episode, etc., etc. At a certain point, um, Marina Inoue, that is the voice acting, because yes, not only the the cast was there in this after party, but there was even a Mapastagio with all the stuff. Yes, but yes, thanks to the cast of these voice acting, there was even Armin's voice acting, or voice actress, actually. And she was talking about the relationship between Armin Arlert and Annie Leonhardt, because they were all thinking, oh, okay, Armin and Annie, they are going to stay together, etc., etc. But then she confirmed the contrary. I mean, she was saying during this after party that Armin and Annie will not stay together after Eren's death and after everything that happened. The reason why they don't want to stay together is that's what she said. Is because they try to respect the unfortunate love that was missed between Eren and Mikasa. I mean, the fact that Eren died and Mikasa didn't have the chance to be happy, or let's say to be happy with him, um, made these other two characters think that there was no point for them to stay together, because if they stayed together, it was like as if they were um, doing this without paying attention on the suffering of Mikasa losing Eren. I mean, it was a matter of a respect, let's say, even if this is something unfortunate, because especially now in this final season where Annie and Armin seemed to have found a great connection, to know that they will not stay together, that's a little bit sad to hear, sincerely. I would have expected, on the contrary, that Armin and Annie would have stayed together, also because that's one of the will of Eren, right? To be happy or to have a long life. But somehow I can even understand. What these two wanted to convey as a message. I mean, why we can be happy while they couldn't, or at least why we can be happy while Mikasa can't, as much as she was dreaming or planning for her future life. So let's say that this is something unfortunate, but on the other side, if that was their choice, that was good enough to be respected. In fact, yes, in one of the scenes happening later that I'm going to analyze for you today, you'll see Armin getting old, but you see him alone. So it makes you understand that Armin decided throughout the years to spend the time with others, but without maybe loving a person or staying with another person together, because of his huge mission. I think that the mission to try to be an ambassador of peace throughout all the years. I mean, let's say that he was pretty busy and maybe he didn't have the chance um, to get involved in a lovable relationship, or maybe because he wanted to stay true to himself by always thinking that Annie was the one and only person who could have stayed together with him. But this didn't happen because of their choices. So this is that what I'm referring to you now was not confirmed in the manga or in the anime, but was confirmed by the voice actress of Armin during this after party that happened immediately after the final episode. But on the contrary, yes, I think that Gabi and Falco, they will definitely stay together, because it's also the promise that Reiner asked to Falco for, and by promising these to him, I think that absolutely he will go on keeping that promise for eternity. So I think that in this case it will work. Yes, I like, yes, I want to remind you this. I like this scene of these birds that are flying, that even if they are flying in the opposite way from the sun, but it's pretty metaphorical, these two, because the sun is shining on top of these birds that are going to spread it's like as if these birds are telling others where to go and to follow one direction specifically and to go all together. In fact, you see that even these boys and girls who are playing in front of Levi, then they are going following these birds. Connecting all of them to one direction only. I think that this is pretty meaningful, and you have even this sun illuminating the path to follow for all of them. And I think, yeah, this is pretty meaningful, and this is well done. I mean, throughout the previous seasons, I told you already these last time, we see always the crows flying, and we see even the birds that are always be put in a dark context. And here, on the contrary, you have these sort of a peace of mind and relaxation that let all the characters, but even all these kids, be able to enjoy the time they are spending. And maybe these boys and girls, little boys and girls, are already treasuring one of the first memories to collect for their lives. As for Armin, at that time, while he was running towards that tree on top of the hill, even if he was the last one, he said, "Ah, the sensation of seeing." These leaves falling down, and at the same time, these calm wind, these breeze that was making me want to run more, even if it was hard, and even if I was the last one. That memory was collected already as one of the first moments in which Armin felt that it was good that he had to be born because he was born to live that experience. Yes, in the same case, I think that even these boys and girls who are running, following these birds flying all together in one direction to follow this direction. And that's already this great memory that they can collect. So when they will be old, they will say, "Ah, in that moment I felt so happy. That happened, and that makes me understand how it was good to be alive and to be able to run and to catch these birds flying in the sky." But as you can see, the ethnicities are all different of these boys and girls, and this really matters because while in this story there were huge differences between ethnicities, or let's say sides of the world, and the discrimination that was deriving from these. Now, in this scene, you see that all these boys and girls come from different contexts, from different ethnicities, but they run all together. So this is a good premises if you think about it. But then, of course, these can't guarantee the fact that things will go on as expected. So never say never, but the important thing is to keep trying. That's the goal that has to be kept as the one and only good option of what to do. But even Levi and all these and Armin, I mean, all these ambassadors and whatever, I mean, they are trying their best to do the right, what they think is the right thing to do. And based on the previous experiences where we could see that other options were wrong, let's say, now it's time for them to try something that it was difficult to be tried. And I think that this is good. I mean, the fact that they try to do, no matter the result, but the fact that they try to do something new and something different, it's better than repeating the same thing. So you see these um, these six characters, these ambassadors, together with Levi, of course, and together with Mikasa. So these eight people who are trying their best um, to do some things. Yeah, I think that even Eren wanted them to spread their story, because even Eren was pretty conscious of the fact that, especially after what he said before dying, I mean, while he was already dead, in my opinion, but it was the last testament, okay, the last will that Eren left to Armin. Um, yeah, I think that even Eren, now more than ever, wanted these friends to have this important role, and he was entrusting them for these, because if you trust a lot of friend, you know his ability. And Armin's ability is specific. I mean, to let the people think more. So the choice that was made, once again, I want to say this, it was the proper choice if you think about it. But this feather, yes, that I was talking to you about the last time, that is falling on Armin's hand, it's a way to say, oh, look, I'm together with all of you guys, or I respect what you do, or this is exactly what I wanted you to do. But even this feather represents these Eren's wheel that goes on top of Armin's hand, to testify that his story too is in Armin's hands. That means that he can handle even Eren's story in the best way, because he will be the one who has to narrate who Eren was, what happened, and what we can learn from his mistakes, what we can learn from these huge disaster that he provoked. So I think, yeah, the feather that goes on top of Armin's hand reminds me of the moment in which even Grisha was using these crow feathers while writing the three books, right? So it's a way as if Eren, thanks to these feather as a personification. I mean, the bird is the personification maybe of Eren. And the fact that the feather goes on top of his hand means, look, Armin, you can use this feather to write my story too. And I think that this pretty connects with the memories of the future, where even Grisha, by writing the three books, was revealing a sort of a reality that for Paradise was pretty disastrous, surprising, and exciting at the same time, because they were knowing actually what was on the other side of the ocean. Even before kissing Historia's hand, Eren had the chance to discover Grisha's past story, and to understand even the fact that Zeke was his first son. So big revelations. And that's why even these feather can mean lots of things to me. He Armin is the person that detains this story more than all the others, and he is the best one who can narrate it. Yeah. Okay, now we start the other part. See, once again, we start immediately these Mikasa's scene with these leaves that they fly in the sky thanks to this breeze. Uh, and of course, it takes her back even to her memories. Where they were running and they were kids and they were running towards this tree. Um, I like that we take this scene back, because for Armin it was a pretty important that scene. But I think that even for Mikasa, that moment while they were running to catch up, to catch the tree up, and to be able to reach it, it was a special moment for everyone. I mean, for Eren, it was a special because he thought that he reached the tree first, right? And for Mikasa, it was a happy moment because because she saw how Eren happy was, and this is pretty important for her to remember the moment in which she could see Eren with a smile on his face. I mean, the good moments, okay. And for Armin, he already explained this, but it's good that now we try to see Mikasa's point of view, because Mikasa has never talked about these tree and the feelings that she can feel staying next to this tree. And now that she's by herself, she can explore silently the feelings that she feels, especially now that Eren is no more with them. So I like the fact that Mikasa likes to spend time sitting under that tree and trying to remember things, trying to take her time, because she has always rushed throughout these seasons. She was always busy to catch Eren. She was always busy to fight against the Kyojin. She was always too busy to not to take care of her feelings. But now that everything is over, and now that she has that beautiful panorama that Eren gifted her, because there are no more the walls surrounding Wall Maria, but even, yes, Shiganshina in this case. She has a complete view that was missing that day while they were running towards that tree. And that gives you a different vibe. And you see the beautiful panorama in front of herself. You see how little by little they are starting to recreate paradise as before. You see lots of green spots, more than before. Even the fact that she's sitting under that tree, the same tree, but you see that even around the trunk of the tree, there are lots of green spots. Yeah, I think that this was the right place to bury Eren, because not only that was the place where everything started for us in episode 1 of season 1, but yeah, even to see the panorama. Look, for a second, I wanted to analyze what Mikasa sees, because, of course, to see things without the walls makes the setting even more vast than before. She can definitely space out by looking at this amazing um, scenario. But at the same time, it's a good day. The weather is pretty fine. And one thing that I notice is these plantation that seems to be in front of Mikasa, even if the perspective makes you think that these trees, not that these trees, that these bushes, I don't know, yes, it's a plantation or a bush, I mean, I don't know, but anyway, yeah, for us it seems that it's more on the right side, but to me, it reminds me an Italian author called Leopardi. I don't know if you know him, but for us Italians, is considered one of the most important poets or literature men of the 18th century. I mean, between 18th and the 19th century. Leopardi made a poem, I'm sorry, a poetry called Infinite, uh, in which this author is describing the sensation that he feels when he goes to his special place that he has found. And in front of this place where he can feel himself for real, and he is by himself, reaching always this place that is so special for him, he finds sorry, a bush in front of him, and this bush doesn't let him see the entire panorama. But he says, even if this bush is in front of me, I can see the infinite. It's like as if no matter this bush disturbing him because it's in front of him, that that bush doesn't make him feel sad. On the contrary, the bush lets him see or lets him imagine the infinite. What's after this bush? So for a second, I have this instant picture. I mean, this frame from this episode in which you see Mikasa that is sitting, this plantation, this bush that seems to be in front of her, but of course, she's looking to the main scenario, absolutely, and you understand that there are no wars. But for a second, this reminded me absolutely this poetry because it's one of my favorite poetry, and you can read it even online. You just write Giacomo Leopardi, Infinito, L'Infinito, and you understand what I mean. But later, I also detect the fact that Mikasa is wearing exactly the same clothes of episode one, season one. This time, she doesn't have her um, hair down, but she has a ponytail, and it makes you understand that she grew up because in manga or anime there is always this thing to underline. I mean, when characters change their hairstyle, it means that they have grown up or something changed. I think that even the choice to let her hair feel like that corresponds even somehow to a certain loyalty to Eren, because we know that Eren said, "Look, when you cut your hair, I mean, when you have a short hair, I don't think that you're so bad." So it meant that for Eren it was important for him to see Mikasa how he liked her, that is, with a short hair. And in fact, later Mikasa cut her hair, especially even in the final season, she had short hair. Uh, but yeah, the fact that she doesn't want to have her hair down, but she has this ponytail, it's a way of saying, okay, when I visit Eren, let me go over there as much as he liked to see me. That is, with hair that are not long. So let me do something so I can fake that I don't have long hair. Okay. But at the same time, she has the same clothes of that day. I mean, I don't think they are exactly the same because she was a girl at that time, but now she's a woman. But the way in which she wants to stay loyal to those memories, to not let Eren feel disappointed every time she goes to visit him. That's pure loyalty, but that's real love, I guess. I think that for Mikasa, it was pretty hard to move on because one thing is when you do what you do in that moment. I mean, the courage that she has found while killing him, it was pretty evident. But one thing is that moment, and one thing is to process the pain that she would have felt later. The shock can't let you process the pain immediately. It takes time. So I think that Mikasa figured out immediately after that she would have felt lonely later, especially the years and years that she went over there visiting Eren. Yes, later you see that she's with others, but I think that the first times she preferred to go there by herself, waiting that the others were coming to visit him too. I think that they even found a special day. mm, where they could reunify themselves, maybe the day in which Eren was killed. So they always kept the promise to unify all the group to go and visit him. And so you see the loyalty, the friendship, and the real love based on memories, but even based on how much they cared about Eren, even if maybe the rest of that the 20% of the population really hates him. But it depends on how Armin settled the things and explained the things to try to let the people understand what happened, even if it's pretty hard on the counterpart. I mean, on the other side, to believe him, because on the other side, they left. They were left completely destroyed. It's pretty hard to let people comprehend something that was caused by others, and that pain was also caused by others. It's really hard to have any sort of empathy when you see your house destroyed, when you see that you lose dear people. We have already said the same things for Eren, so now it's time to say the same things for that 20% of the people of humanity surviving. So we can't expect that all the population, just because Armin talked, is there saying, "Oh yes, we understand now that you explained us everything." No, 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 no. We change our mind. No, absolutely no. But I like the way in which Mikasa visited him all the time, and as you can see. Where the grave is positioned is exactly the place where Eren was sitting and sleeping. That's something uh, important too, because even the place where he was buried completely refers to the loyalty that Mikasa wanted to pay to him based on her memories too, and to imagine that Eren is still sleeping over there. So it's pretty meaningful. I mean, while everyone thinks that Eren died, is buried there because he's dead, Mikasa probably buried over there Eren because she prefers to believe that he's still sleeping, and maybe one day there is that Okaeri Nasai and is missing. But I think people do things like this because they still want to hang on the memories. They still want to hang on the hope that that person we really loved can come back. I mean, it's a way to process the pain, to process and move on. And but yeah, we saw in fact that she thought while saying Itarashai and that he was sleeping, right? He seemed that he was sleeping, and in fact that's why Mikasa reached his face and kissed him, not only in the dimension of a reality of this story, that means while Eren had his head cut off, but even in that dimension of Mikasa, parallel dimension where you see that Eren was sleeping, sitting on that bench in front of the cabin. And she prefers to think that he's sleeping. And actually, he is, let's say, he's sleeping forever because he dies. But that's also the same place where in episode one she woke. I mean, he woke up and. She realized that he was crying. So let's go back for a second to this thing. I mean, one more time, one more thing is to say that Eren cried maybe because he saw from the future that over there would have been his grave. So the fact that he saw maybe his grave, but also Mikasa crying for him, and that the tear is the result of something he saw from the future as a reflection of the tear that even Mikasa would have had down on her face, but for sure the pain Eren would have felt thanks to that nightmare to remind him that look, that will be the place where you will be buried. So now more than ever, you understand how great this story is and the power that it has to connect the beginning of this story for us, that is episode one, with this last episode. I mean, at the beginning, while Eren is still alive and he cries, and we still don't understand why, with the ending here where everything is coherent. Everything has a meaning, even if, yes, at the beginning, Isayama decided that that dream would have been something totally different. In fact, all of these scenes that you see taken from this nightmare that he has, they show us something totally different. Um, but let's say that later Isayama, maybe Isayama at the beginning wanted to go in certain direction with the story, even if for him the finale was pretty clear from the beginning. But let's say that later all these things of the nightmare we see were modified based on how the story would have proceeded. I repeat you, even if Isayama knows how he wants to end the story anyway from the beginning. But one thing is to know the ending, and one way is to modify or to change his opinions throughout the story, always reaching that type of ending. And that's why I'm saying that this ending to me results pretty coherent, even from these certain things. Uh, I don't know if I can say this thing now. Or I wait that I analyze the scene with the boy and the dog, because look, I don't know. I mean, okay, I can anticipate some things sincerely. For example, this grave of Eren, of course, we know um, that his head was buried exactly um, under this tree. But as I told you, the soil gets in touch with the tree. I told you this at the beginning of this live streaming. So the soil that is maybe contaminated by what Eren was doing, because his head contains, of course, his brain that, okay, is going as soon as the corp, I mean, the body is deteriorating. But I'm saying the soil that is feeded by what it has in it. Okay, so if Eren's head is buried under this tree, you see that this tree anyway, it's growing full of green spots, and it seems to have not been affected um, by everything that Eren did, or by a sort of influence of this head buried underground. I mean, under this tree. Um, but we need to remember that Eren still had those marks as a after transformation as a Titan, and I still didn't understand why, while all the others were uh, totally fine and their faces were completely clean, especially because that the Titan's power was over, while Eren, that he had his head cut off, seemed to still have those marks on his face, even when he was buried at this point. It's like as if he kept being cursed. I mean, he kept being marked by those signs that led him do what he did. As if it was a condemnation, a punishment on his face. But if he was buried like this underground, who tells me that underground maybe even under these tree, there is not another, I don't want to say creature, but anyway, something that one day can get in touch with the ashes, because yeah, Mikasa is a Japanese as a nationality. I mean, her country should have been Japan. She comes from Hizuru. Usually, Japanese people they wanted to cremate the bodies of dead people. I mean, they don't like so much to bury them. Underground with all the bones left, etc., etc. They prefer to cremate the bodies, so these ashes are collected, etc., etc. But let's say, who gives me the guarantee that there is not another creature under that tree that one day can get in touch somehow even with the bones of the bones left of Aaron's head, and these bones anyway they are still collecting this DNA from Aaron. I mean, this is just stupid what I'm saying now, but I'm just giving you some hints of what I might reach with my brain, with my mind, till which point I can reach. Because anyway, if we are feeding the soil with certain things, then the result of these plantations and these trees is coming out, showing on these living things what influenced them, right? But let's say that, yeah, now we see this little grave. I really like even the fact that Mikasa didn't prepare this huge grave commemorating Eren. It's something really, really simple, because simplicity is the best, and because there is no need of a grave that is majestic to let these reflect her love, or let these reflect how much these friends care about him. I really like that on this grave there is something really simple and neat. There is even a small message that later we are going to translate. So, I mean, the translation came out always from the after party, so we understand that what was written on the grave matters quite a lot. But yeah, let's say that that grave perfectly reflects what Mikasa wants to convey. That means Eren. I don't need to remember Eren thanks to a majestic grave. The simpler it is, the better it is, because Mikasa has always wanted a simple life with simple gestures, a simple environment. So that's exactly the reflection of how she is. And actually, even when you go to Japanese graveyards, yes, of course, there are majestic graves that correspond to rich people or rich families, but there are even really simple graves in which you understand that there is no need to spend lots of money to create a big grave, so you feel satisfied of the fact that there are people see that you are rich. There are even these people, let me tell you, absolutely, where the more they represent, even thanks to graves, the more they feel satisfied. Yes. But I definitely prefer these kind of things, because when a death comes, you the most important thing is not the surface. The most important thing is how you remember the person that went on the other side. So I think that I like Mikasa even for this choice. Exactly. The fact that she's even talking to Eren, even if she's not talking, I mean, opening her mouth, but the fact that she keeps getting in touch with Eren, mentally speaking, that makes you understand that Eren is still alive. As for what I told you many times, until you keep the memories of that dead person, she or he will never fade away as a person, just because the surface, that is the body, the container is gone, the soul can stay. The soul can. Some people believe that the soul stays in this dimension. Some other people believe in heaven or hell. Some other people believe that there is another dimension after this one. So that's why we can't see the souls that became souls, and other special people who are considered special people can see the spirits because they believe that to those people this other dimension is visible. But what I'm saying is that Eren is still alive in the time in which you see Mikasa talking to him, the friends visiting him. As soon as the memory of this person keeps staying alive, even the person himself stays alive, and you know that actually Eren will be remembered for lots of time because Armin has spread this story, and then other people will keep spreading it. So. Let's say that even if Eren wanted to be free, maybe by dying, the fact that he keeps being remembered for the atrocities he made let him not be free at all. He will always be remembered in a certain way by some people and in another way from others. But anyway, he's still stuck somehow, stuck in this dimension where you see him, let's say, personificated by a bird, and usually the bird that flies represents the freedom, etc., etc. But you don't have to forget the bird also represent that animal that stays inside of a cage. So um, it's a mixture of the two. I mean, maybe he got free from the container that was his body that was containing this huge power, uh, and he was free also from the atrocities he made, and that he couldn't go on making. He was getting rid of his revenge, etc., etc. But then, at the same time, he keeps being stuck anyway because he is remembered. And that's why probably when Eren was telling Mikasa, please forget about me, it was a way of saying the more you keep remembering me, the more I will keep being stuck here because I also can't forget about you, Mikasa. So if you remember, then I feel tempted to stay. So for me, it's hard too to keep staying here while I wanted to be free. So it depends on how you see things, but I really like the fact that Mikasa is talking to him. That represents exactly what I told you before while I was describing the fact that for Ymir, this was the clear conception of a real love because as you can see Mikasa didn't stop loving Eren even after, and she didn't get rid of his image, his memories, and she keeps visiting him. We don't know how many times she kept going ahead over there under that tree to visit him. Maybe the first period of time she went to visit him every single day because she felt connected, and also because of what I told you, to process a pain of that caliber, it takes time. But yeah, I want to believe that even after, in fact, you see that she keeps visiting Eren, but instead of visiting him every single day, probably you see the difference. You see that she will be visiting Eren maybe the day he died, not to remember him, etc., etc. But I still believe that in the first period, she went visiting Eren many times, not just the day to commemorate him. Okay, and then And in fact, she says, Eren, the others are coming to visit soon. And in fact, we know that Armin and all the others are coming to visit him too. Not only the fact that they have to talk, to express their opinions, to see if they are accepted back in paradise where there are people who are rebelling to this, etc., etc. And then there is the moment in which we see the grave. We see the grave that Mikasa dedicated to Eren. I mean, not only, yes, I think Mikasa, yes. I wanted to take for a second wait a second. I needed to find the translation of that grave that I found it the last time. I needed to find it back. Wait. Where is it? Where is the grave? Where is the grave? La 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 la. Grave, please. Where is it? Ah, wait. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Oh, where is the grave translation that I found the last time? Oh, okay. I found it. I found it. So the translation that was even confirmed by the after party of Shingeki no Kyojin is here forever, rest peacefully, my most beloved, my dear 854. This is the clear translation. And in fact, actually, if you check the numbers on the grave, you can definitely see that it seems like 854. That is the date where Eren, I mean, the date which Eren died. And you know that 838 or 840 or something, everything started. So as you can see, yeah, he died pretty young, but I like the the translation because here forever, rest peacefully, or sleeping peacefully, my most beloved, my dear. And she doesn't even need to write on this grave, okay, the name. Because, and that's why I like Mikasa for this choice, because there was no need for her to say the name. The most important thing is that only Mikasa and all the others friends know that over there Eren is buried. She doesn't need that other people know this, okay? The most important thing is that they know, and there is no absolute need for others to know where Eren is buried. Also, because if other people knew that there were some people who might have come to Paradise to destroy the grave. So I really, really like the fact that absolutely. Let me see 1 second of the colors. Okay. Um, no, I was checking the colors of the flowers. Because even the flowers, see, there are three flowers under this grave. And this is pretty meaningful because we know that throughout this story, especially in the first seasons, the flowers were paying, I mean, were having a great role. But I think that these three flowers are standing for loyalty, love, happiness. I mean, something really, really deep. Let me search 1 second, one thing to confirm what I'm saying. Um, Okay, 1 second. Kimi ga da 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 da. Ah, okay. Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, yes. Because but in the anime, wait a second. In the anime, there are 3 or 4 flowers. I can't see clearly. Wait a second. Now there are 3 flowers, but in the manga, actually, yes, there are 4 flowers. Now that I see, maybe one is. Let me check really quick one more time. 4 or 5. There are 3 or 4. No, there are 3. In the anime, they chose 3. But let me see if I can find that moment in which it's explained. Yeah, because yes, if they were 3, if they were 4, uh, in Japan, when you put the 4 flowers, they mean Shinuma de kimochi wa kawarimasen. That means until I die, my feelings will never change. But let me see if I can. Yes, yes, exactly. Actually, these 3 flowers symbolize exactly gratitude, everlasting love, and humility. Because actually, Mikasa is. Uh, Wait a second. Okay. Okay. I had to eliminate a stupid comment. Anyway, um, you see that the meaning of these 3 flowers are pretty meaningful, especially because they are describing exactly how Mikasa is. She's grateful. Because of everything she has experienced. She has an everlasting love, that is that love for Eren, and she is also really humble, humility. But I think that those 3 flowers on the grave, they clearly respect what Mikasa is. And I wanted to talk about even the flowers that you see later once she dies, that are really important too. But yeah, actually, these 3 flowers, every year Mikasa goes to visit him and to remember him in the first period, because when there is this scene, 3 years have passed from that moment, because you saw even that Historia's daughter was celebrating her third birthday. But I'm still convinced that not only 3 years are passed, and not only Mikasa visited Eren in the day he died, but I think that she visited Eren more times. And I really like even the fact that she's touching gently this grave to let understand that Eren, I still care about you. Eren, I'm still here. It's like as if she was cuddling, touching this grave, like when she was touching his face. I mean, like she was touching his face, even in the other dimension when she was trying to reach his face with her hands. Mikasa is really lovable. We have always seen these. Aspect, these characteristic of her personality, where you see that she's strong, that she's a fighter, etc., etc. But I think that here we see a side of Mikasa that is untold. Especially in the final season, we had the chance to see her deeply in love and discovering a side of Mikasa where you see how lovable she can be, how gently she can be, how human, but even how motherly she is, because she has this instinct to protect Eren, as if she is like a mom for a second more than a lover. And it definitely reminds me the promise she made to Carla in season one. Always see this episode is always connecting to season one when actually Mikasa is promising to Carla to take care of Eren because Carla was saying, "Please, Mikasa, take care of him, watch him," and she was saying, "Hmm." And then she went to try to catch him. So Mikasa has always had this feeling to reach him, to catch him, to be able to not separate from him. In all seasons, you see these as much as you see even in season two. The moments in which when the Reiner and all the others are taking it in a way, when she wakes up, no, actually, yes, when Armin wakes up, or when she wakes up. No, when she wakes up. Let me see if I can find that the scene. In which Mikasa she has this scarf around her neck, but she's saying the only thing I want is to be with him. Okay, Mikasa. There is season two. Let me see if on YouTube there is that scene. Not only the yes, here we go. Yes, Mikasa was sleeping and then she wakes up. Not only that, but you needed to remember that in season two there is the confession. So for her it was pretty heavy. Yes, I found it. Yes, and the moment that she wakes up and she doesn't even know where Eren is, the first thing she says is, "Who was there waiting?" Then she woke up. Armin. The first thing, not even saying, "Armin, are you okay? Armin, what happened? Is there someone? Did someone die because of this battle?" No. The first thing she is saying is, "Armin, where is it?" And she's ready to go because that was her first and initial instinct for all the seasons. Even in season four, when she comes to reach him and say, "Let's go back home." She has this attitude like a mother most of the times. And then when she has to confess her love, Mikasa is the perfect representation of the Japanese people who are always trying, who feel too embarrassed. Let's say they are too embarrassed to convey their feelings directly, and they always are trying to find escamotage. I mean, they try always to find other words to use. So the message is always the same, but it's not too embarrassing. I, she doesn't even care how much she's injured, of course. But she's seeing that Eren is gone. So, where is he? Desperate. Eren was taken away. And Mikasa, yes. Oh, find me one time that Eren didn't lose. Find me one time that Eren didn't lose. Is anyone chasing them? What did you see when Armin says, "No, nobody is going?" And she says, "Why not?" And she has this face with those eyes that they are super scary, but makes you understand the intensity. There's nothing we can do. But for me, because it's impossible to hear the word nothing. Okay? No. Mm, no. Did you understand? No. In that moment, oh, it's so beautiful to rewatch this story now. In that moment, Mikasa had a headache. Ymir was interfering over there. I mean, we know that the headaches correspond to Ymir, okay? So in that moment, she was having a headache because she was too much focusing on following Eren and not taking care of anything else. Ymir, with that headache, was telling her, look, you are making a mistake now, the same mistake that I have always done. That means taking care of the person I loved and not taking care of the circumstances. Mm? You are too slave now, let's say. And in fact, Mikasa says, not this again, the headache. And Armin says, does it hurt anywhere? No. Mikasa says, no. I must have hit my head pretty hard, but I'm fine. No, 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 no. In that moment, she was having a headache. But of course, if it was said that there was a headache, of course we couldn't understand anything at that time. But let's say that it was too obvious then the answer for us now, especially now that we already watched season 2, okay? But she was having a headache in the moment in which she wanted to do something desperate to go and reach Eren. Even if Armin said, look, the comrades are injured, Hanji is still sleeping, we don't know her conditions, the horses are on the other side. But Mikasa in that moment seemed to not care about anything rather than Eren. And the problem is that because if we reflect her experience with Ymir, even Ymir took care of King Fritz more than anything else. Even more than her own daughters, okay? Because protecting King Fritz meant that later she would have been eaten by her daughters. Something. Hmm. Okay, let's go on. But when Eren was taken away by Annie, I chased them right away. Yes, because do you remember when she tried to stop Annie, but then she was taken away by Levi? Huh? Eh, if it's already been 5 hours, the scarf. The way she's touching the scarf is exactly the way she's touching the grave now at the end. Notice it. Hey, Armin. Why? The poor Armin. Why does Erin always go somewhere far away from us? Because she was too embarrassed to say, why does Erin always go somewhere far away from me? Let's put us, it's better. He wants to go away from you. It's already a hint. Eren has always run off on his own, leaving us behind. Yes. Yes. I guess that's just the way things are meant to happen. Well, when we will rewatch the previous seasons, be ready because there are lots of sentences, okay, that especially to the characters that are connected to the paths. Just saying, eh? For Eren at least, okay? He said, I guess that's just the way things are meant to happen for Eren at least. More spoiler than these. But Mikasa said, but all I want is to be at his side. And in fact, going back to this final episode, yes, Mikasa is now by his side. Even if he is dead, she is by his side. So she didn't break that promise. That means forget about me, throw away the scarf. No, I mean, she's loyal to her feelings. And then she's really beautiful, yes, because behind, yes, there is the ponytail, okay? Hmm? But when she moves her face and you see these hair that are exactly like episode 1, season 1. This way for Mikasa to feel somehow stuck, imprisoned in that memory, that she wants to remake this memory go on and on and on through years because she wears the same clothes, she has the same, okay, of course she matured, fortunately, but she has the same hairstyle on one side, but on the other side she has the ponytail, but the scarf, the same clothes, the same tones of colors, everything. She is touching this grave so gently. The message that there is on the grave, that is my my. Let me see if I can find it again to be clear, to say it clearly. Um, my most beloved, my most beloved, and then even my dear, okay. uh, I think it was too much for her to see, to say or to write my love, my endless love. No, it's too much. I mean, you can't expect from Mikasa something like this. I mean, you can't expect that she writes even on the grave, I love you, I will always love you, my one and only. It's too much. Also, because this doesn't represent what Mikasa is. She is from Hizuru. Hizuru is Japan, and in Japan, no, it's too embarrassing to write something like this on a grave, but even to say it, okay? So she's definitely representing who she is. But that doesn't mean that even if it's written on the grave, my dear or my most beloved, it doesn't mean I will always love you, okay? It's just the way Mikasa can't do something like this. I can't say things like this, especially on the grave. No, it's too embarrassing. But on the other side, it's good when she's saying out loud sometimes words like these that we heard from the episode in season 2, when she says, I wanted to be by his side. That's a way of saying that she loves him. Or when she was declaring her love with the scarf scene, the memorable scarf scene. Oh, when she was saying, thank you, Eren, for this, thank you, Eren, for that, thank you, Eren, for wrapping the scarf around my neck. It's already a way to say, I love you. Or when she said, you are my family. You are my family. That doesn't mean I am your sister and you are my brother, you are my father. No, even when you marry, you create a family. So let's say that it's more powerful, even if it's not direct, but what she has to say, it's quite undeniable. In the meantime, this new song from Linked Horizon is starting in the background, and Mikasa says, "Ah, wait a second, that I lost the sentence." Doesn't that make you happy? I mean, Eren, doesn't that make you happy that all of the friends are coming to visit you soon? She's talking to Eren, even if 3 years have gone on, she's talking to Eren as if Eren is there. Because to her, it doesn't matter if the body is there or not. She thinks that Eren is there, she can sense him. And this is so amazing. That proves to Ymir even more that love, when it exists, it can go beyond the boundaries, and this is a huge thing to say or to spread as a message, because we are always thinking that love exists just because you live it, just because you have some proofs that it can go on living, etc. etc. No, love can exist. Uh, Even when you separate from others, love can exist even when someone dies. I think that Inira chose the right person, because Mikasa, after 3 years, is still there talking to him, as if she is talking to him because he is next to her, in front of her. And we also, when we go and visit the graves of our dear people, we talk to them. To let these souls be still alive, or we believe, or we can't accept that they are gone. And later we will see that Mikasa is crying and she's saying what she's saying. So it depends on how you see things, even in this case. Is she accepting the fact that he is gone? After 3 years, she still wants to meet him. Is she doing this because she keeps loving him? I think that the first years, yes, she stayed pretty loyal to her feelings. Is she talking to Eren because she doesn't care the fact that he died? Physically speaking, she keeps thinking or sensing him spiritually speaking. Absolutely, yes. Why not? Even after 3 years, these can happen. Um, is she talking to Eren because she still can't process the pain she's feeling without him? Or maybe yes. I mean, as you can see, there are multiple ways to see why people keep talking to their dear people after death. It's something really personal. It's something that we can't judge. It's something that we can't understand completely until we live the same experiences. So I think that Mikasa can't be judged because after 3 years she still talks to Eren in that way. No, the love Mikasa felt for these men was incredibly huge, and it lasted for almost an entire life. Because since she was a little girl, she was rescued by him, and thanks to him, her life could have restarted. It's impossible to forget some things. It's impossible to deny a feeling like that. And even the fact that she, let's say, understood that she was corresponded, because, of course, thanks to that vision she had, but even Because if a man is asking me, why do you care so much about me? Is it because I am your family, or is it because I saved you that time? Even Eren was so embarrassed to convey his feelings, okay? Or even when he said, I will wrap your scarf around your neck forever, all the times you want. It's corresponding it. By the way, yes, I was saying, in the meantime, Mikasa is talking to Eren. There is this ending, no ending, this song from A Link to Horizon um, um, as a background. And in fact, in the meantime, the lyrics are saying, not knowing the names of the morning flowers. In fact, she put these three flowers under this grave of Eren. And these are flowers that are already mourning. That is not a morning, good morning, morning. That is still sad, still trying to reach desperately him. Ah, open a bracket. It is a song of a great horizon. Oh, it's a great, of a linked horizon. The voice that you hear now is actually Mikasa's voice actress. I mean, she is singing in Revo's song. In fact, this song is pretty powerful, and maybe later, maybe this next week, I can analyze even the lyrics based on who is saying those things. But this is amazing. But look at the panorama that Eren gifted her. Because Eren, by destroying these walls, except for the fact that he created a distraction on one hand, but Eren was also wanted to gift her this panorama, that is a world without walls. And to see this panorama while you are sitting under the tree, wow. Uh, I would have liked, no, I already had some of these experiences to see a panorama that left you without a word, where you are speechless just to look at it. And in that moment, you understand as much as Armin thought, with the leaves, with the breeze. It's so beautiful to have been born. I was born to look at these panorama. I was born also for these, because I had the chance to see these panorama. So Eren sacrificed also because of that, to let Mikasa see this beautiful panorama, so she can understand that she was not born just because she had to stay next to him, but she has to be glad to have been born also because she had the opportunity to see that panorama. And you see so many colorful flowers while she's checking the panorama, with all of the paradise, I mean, over there in front of her, the mountains, the clouds. I mean, it's like a painting, okay? But it's real. And all around these beautiful and colorful flowers that are more or less the same tones of colors, even if they are different, but they are a little bit the same color as the previous seasons. Purple, blue, light blue, white, red. I mean, all these colors that represent good intentions. I mean, good feelings. This purple that in season one was a combination made on purpose for the anime to already underline you, especially in these. First season, episode one, the meaning of that purplish, bluish flower that represents definitely these endless love. That you can even find now that we are at the end. These endless love. It's endless because it will never fade away. Even if maybe later Mikasa will have a new life and she will be able maybe to remarry, to have a kid, etc., etc. Um, that doesn't mean that that love is over. It will just modify into another type of love, but that's why it's an endless love because it will never fade away. Exactly, Ishikawa Yui, yes, the actress of the voice actress of Mikasa, that she's pretty good in this song. Let me tell you honestly. Then we don't even say how much she felt emotional when she had to record the last lines, but we will reach it. Okay, let me go ahead in the meantime. But see, even how still, how peaceful is this moment while Mikasa is looking the panorama, except for the song itself. Okay, but if there was not the song, you would have heard these silence. And I've always told you, most of the times, silence can speak for itself. I mean, there's no need of words to enhance. The moments like these. But in this case, this silence is peaceful. I mean, you are not feeling bad because you are feeling this silence. You feel so peaceful. You feel as if you are happy to live that silence because that silence is not threatening you, is not punishing you. It doesn't make you feel angry or anxious or frustrated. No, this silence is, I mean, like a state of mind. And in the meantime, the song says, after the birds have flown away, always referring to Eren because this is Mikasa's voice actress trying to sing this song, interpreting Mikasa, who's saying these morning flowers that are still over there after the birds have flown away. That is why Eren went away. There are still these morning flowers over there that is on the grave. So wow, Revo, as always, when he makes these songs, creme de la creme, let's say. And then this moment, super sad moment, when Mikasa, by checking the panorama, in her mind, she is feeling, she is seeing with her imagination the scene. I mean, a memory, not an imagination, but yes, with her imagination, because it's not real, she is recollecting in front of her eyes the memory of the first episode when Eren was sleeping and Mikasa was coming over there in front of him. The memories that you don't want to forget because we know that Mikasa knows that from that moment the things were all going to be different. I mean, after the moment in which they were spending time in Shiganshina together day after day, suddenly after everything that happened, the separation started. But the fact that she wants to recollect that memory where Eren was still there for her and that moment in which she saw him crying, but then they went home together. That memory is pretty intense for her, and it's something. It's like as if her mind is stuck over there, where Eren was not going anywhere, and they still had to meet. they still had to meet Hannes, and they still had to see the Chosa Hedan coming back home. So until that moment, Eren was always next to her. But then, of course, we know his intentions to go outside of the walls. To explore, we know that from that moment, Mikasa felt as if they couldn't stay together anymore. Something was always creating an impediment to not let these two characters stay together. So she prefers to recollect that memory because in that moment, Eren was still next to her. And she sees herself looking at Eren while Eren was sleeping. In fact, now she is there with his grave. She is even touching that grave, and she's still taking care of him. At that time, she was looking at him while sleeping because she was taking care of him. In the meantime, the song goes on saying, "The plants and trees bud again, and the spring returns once more." Exactly. The panorama makes you understand that, yes, it's a spring because the flowers are blooming. And spring in Japan means a new birth, a new beginning, the rebirth, a way to start something new again. So for Japanese people, spring is one of the most important seasons because it's where everything restarts, where everything begins again. And when life triumphs because the flowers are blooming, and even yes, when Japanese people go and check the sakura flourish, I mean blooming. Um, for them it's so important to see this moment in which they see the sakura that are that are flowering, that are blooming again. Um, so the plants and the song says the plants and the trees bud again, exactly because we saw Falco Gabi planting new trees, and all of these red that all those green spots in front of Mikasa too, the fact that even Shiganshina is full of these flowers, full of these new plantations, these grass that is growing between houses. So everything is flourishing again. mm. And the spring returns once more. Yes, because this is the perfect cycle of life, even described through seasons. That is pretty meaningful, right? That metaphorically speaking stands for the life that regenerates, but even the life that after negative experiences can have a chance to restart again for the best. So, as I was telling you, I mean, she is looking while the song says something like this. Mikasa is looking to the moment where they were young. They were too innocent, but at the same time, she has to move on little by little with her life. She has to try her best to be able to get rid. I don't want to say to get rid completely of Eren, but she needs to try to move on. And move on is not easy, huh? Especially when you have felt lots of things for a person. The hardest part is to move on. One more time. And Mikasa starts crying, of course. You understand, thanks to this, that she has never processed all these completely. She's still crying after 3 years, to let you understand how this went on, how much she cried through 3 years. You see her crying even now when when in her mind you see this memory that she has. Both of them young under this tree, where she was imagining a totally different life for them. She has never imagined what would have happened when she was young. She was imagining that tranquility, that life, that routine would have never ended, even when they would have grown up. Maybe they would have married, they would have stayed together, they would have had kids. But everything interrupted this magical dream, right? Even Mikasa's dream is completely gone. See, like for Eren, the dream of seeing and discovering the world and see other things. Yes, even for Mikasa, that dream of staying next to Eren and create a life with him is completely gone. But how she passively cries in front of this scenario that she sees makes you understand that she can't get over these still. She still is trapped, let's say, in those memories that make her crying. Um, and she's having these tear coming down her face, exactly like Eren in episode 1 had the tear, the right tear coming down. So maybe Eren was even crying after that nightmare because he saw from the future that Mikasa would have lost him, and Mikasa was there crying under that tree. And the result was that he was also crying because that for him was a nightmare. So I think that these evidence of how these first episode and these ending episode matter together, and they are creating this perfect cycle of events that are connecting these things one after the other one. This is so beautiful, so poetic. Yes, these are three different flowers that you see that are representing what I told you before, and they are under these gentle ray of light that is shining, that is shining on them. But even on the grave itself, I mean, it's not a ray of light that is shining the grave and the flowers completely. No, it's that the beautiful tone of color where you see that these array of lights are like intruding themselves through the leaves of this tree to give this beautiful context, this setting that is typical of a springtime. I mean, yes, the lights, the sun that is intruding little by little through these leaves to reach the grave, but even the flowers. It's these a thing that makes you understand that yes, Eren is still remembered. Eren is still there, and these flowers are dedicated to him. The grave is dedicated to him too. No one forgot about him. And this light is so gentle, as if even the light is cuddling Eren in that moment. This is so poetic. Yeah. And in the meantime, the song goes on and says, leaving behind the winter. And yes, because if a spring comes, a winter is over. So this winter that represents the death, that can absolutely refer to the new beginning. That means life goes on, life will find a way to survive. Winter that represents even a certain end of feelings, but the spring that is coming once again makes you understand that the feelings are not completely gone, but they start re-emerging outside. And in fact, Mikasa is crying as if her feelings now are keep coming out, expressing the loneliness she feels because Eren is not there. It's so poetic. Yes. And there is this moment of fragility of Mikasa that made me cry a lot because while there was the episode, you are seeing Mikasa alone. The Mikasa that still didn't accept his death, that she still wishes him to be there, and she was unconsciously hoping that she would have found him, that she would have seen him, that he would have come again to meet her. These unconscious hope that doesn't leave you free to move on. This pain that is always coming to remind you that you are alone, that even if you talk to him, he can't answer to you. So, on one side, the good thing of talking to him because you keep remembering him, but on the other side, this to see that he is not responding to her, and this confirms his death. It's hard. It's hard to face it. It's hard to handle it, to process it. And then in the meantime, the song goes on by saying, even though I sing songs of resentment with the passing seasons, yes, because actually Mikasa keeps going on over there visiting him. And she has these resentments of not being able to move on because she is stuck to these feelings she feels. Well, I like, yes, in internet, on the internet, they were saying the same. I like when Mikasa is closing her mouth. That is an expression as if she says, look, I would like to say many things, but it's better if I don't say them. It's better if I keep them for myself because if I express them out loud, it's like as if I really create that feeling. I mean, as if I am building this feeling. If I don't say it, it's something that it's still untold. So it's if it's not said, it means that it's okay. I mean, when Mikasa is covering her face like that while she cries, of course, on the internet they made this parallelism with Carla. Absolutely. I mean, even Carla, when before dying, she was closing her mouth because she wanted to scream, please stay here, please don't go. She's also saying it with a low tone of a voice. But in that moment, Carla wanted to say, please don't go, Ikanaide. Do you remember in episode one? But she refrained herself from saying anything out loud, so things would have gone on. No matter these condition. Yes, I totally agree. I think Mikasa and Carla shared this moment of seeing Eren going away from them, and instead of screaming out loud, please come back, don't die, and whatever, they let Eren go. And this is the saddest thing, because in that moment you wanted to do something, but you know that it's better if you don't do it, to put your feelings under the feelings of others, or the intentions of others. Eren, in that moment with Carla, it was better if he would have gone away to save his life. So Carla understands that the most important thing is that, not the fact that they come back to stay with her, because they would have risked their lives too. And Carla would have never forgiven herself, even in the afterlife, let's say. And even for Mikasa, it was better to kill him, stepping on her feelings, for the good thing to do. Carla and Mikasa, they have this thing in common, for sure, to love Eren, even if they are two different ways, but even to let Eren go. That it's not easy to do, okay? But I like this fragile moment of Mikasa. Huh? It shows you how she finally can cry. Even if it's 3 years that she's crying, actually, but it's important for her, as much as I said the same thing for Levi. It's important for her to be able to convey her feelings out loud, to release these tears that were always being stuck over there because she was still unsure of the epilogue. Now that there is this ending, for sure this is a way to be able later to move on, to release your emotions, and to accept that Eren is gone. And I think that in this moment, after 3 years, she is starting realizing the shock of have lost him, the shock that makes her understand, Mikasa, now you are realizing that Eren can't answer to you, that Eren is gone. So it's a way to process this pain. For some people it takes days, for some people it takes months, for some other people it takes years to accept the loss, to process it, and to be able to move on. And the song, in fact, says you will never return again. So this song that is perfectly matching now with what Mikasa is feeling. I think it was the perfect choice, the perfect match. Because yes, as much as I told you, now Mikasa is realizing that Eren is gone, will not come back. And I mean, the Mikasa is surrounded by all these green. That, of course, in general, green means represents hope, right? So the hope that Mikasa had throughout all these years, to wake up one day and see that reality was different, to imagine that Eren somehow would have be there for her in another way, etc., etc., etc. So I think that all this green surrounding her is not just a representation of a new life and the will, or the possibility to move on, but even this hope that Mikasa had, to see him coming back. See, in fact, even these beautiful scene between these two squirrels, that you see one that is approaching the other one, and the other one that is revealing its presence to the other squirrel. That's what Mikasa wanted. To have the possibility to live this same experience, to believe maybe that Eren was dead, and suddenly you see him appearing, like one of the best movie scenes, when you see her crying and then you see him at a distance, walking with a slow motion, seeing that he will be back. But this is the happy ending that can't be realistic, I mean, I understand that many people wanted this happy ending where you see that Eren is still alive, that he'll be back, and he will kiss Mikasa, and they will start to have a family together. I mean, it would have been too incoherent. We know that Isayama wanted to punish us a little bit with lots of pain, and he did it pretty well. But I think that it would have been so incoherent to see Eren surviving, because if Eren survived, it means that the premises for a good intention to create a good future would have vanished too, right? Especially because that sincerely, that was not the purpose of the story. The purpose of the story is that no matter how dark the world may seem, there is always a counterpart. Keep trying to defeat this negativity. The world is cruel, but also really beautiful. If Eren would have survived, it means that nothing would have completely changed. Um, so I understand that many fans would have liked to see Eren standing now while Mikasa cries, reaching her, kissing her, and say Tadaima, and she would have said Okaeri Nasai. But this is too utopistic, too good to be true. But in the meantime, you see what Mikasa wants reflected in these squirrels scene. And in fact, yes, she is there, and the song continues saying the last kiss that colored red. What? No, the last scene that colored red was from me. And in fact, colored red not only because red is a color of blood, but color of love too. So that last kiss that she gave Eren was the ultimate demonstration of love, and that was coming from her. So usually Mikasa tended to not reveal her feelings as much as I was saying, but the last kiss speaks for everything. Okay, she demonstrated love without any sort of word that could have not have could have not been enough to represent love itself, because words are limitful. Even a gesture can express more than words. I want to see you again. Yes, but let's say that Aitai, okay, that is, I wanted to open a little bracket for a second, because Japanese language, Aitai, doesn't necessarily mean I wanted to see you again. In Japanese, Aitai means I miss you. Of course, that also indirectly means I wanted to see you again. But when you wanted to say I miss you, it's I mean in Japanese it's aitai. So I would have preferred if the translation would have been I miss you, because this makes you understand that Mikasa is still stuck in this pain that she feels because of this loss. But later, I wanted to say something when the bird arrives. Okay, so for the moment, yes, Mikasa is saying how much she wants to see Eren again. After 3 years of a past, she still wants to see him, and that represents even not just the huge love, but the loyalty she's paying to her own feelings. The honesty of them and the coherence of them. Because I would have never imagined the Mikasa moving on so fast, sincerely. Even if later we see her with another man and with this baby, but I think that uh, if she would have moved on so easily, the character would have been meaningless. But the fact that you see that Mikasa keeps going on, it's more coherent. I mean, it keeps going on, crying for him, waiting for him, even if he will never come back. The fact that she wants to see him, she's missing him. It's coherent with that sorry I can't when Eren was asking her certain things, and she was answering in that way. If she would have made life with another man so easily, that would have been so poor. I mean, no, I prefer to see Mikasa like this, even if it's painful to see her like this. But I prefer to see how coherent she was with her feelings, because that's why Eren loved her. That's how Eren realized her importance for him, the coherence. The moving forward no matter the difficulty. Eren loved her because of her intentions, because of her perseverance, even in front of a even in front of him trying to block her, she kept moving forward. That's one of the principles why Eren loves her so much. But this bird with these wings, I like these movements while the song stops, and there is this move of wings that are representing absolutely this disconnection. I mean, Mikasa is sad. The setting is also responding to this sadness. There is this moment in which Mikasa says, I miss you, etc., etc. And then even the music seems belonging to this scenario that we are seeing. Suddenly the music stops and these wings that are breaking this silence, that are disconnecting Mikasa from her sad thoughts. And this white bird that is appearing, touching with the beak the scarf. It's like as if, as soon as Mikasa is asking him to come, he comes. Okay? This is so beautiful. Because as soon as Eren sees her crying, the bird comes to tell her, don't be sad. Mm? And in fact, how to not make Mikasa feel sad? By doing the thing that he has always promised her. And this is emotional. This is so poetic. And this bird not only is grabbing the scarf thanks to its beak, but the bird stays in front of her for a little bit of time, even if the time is extended, because now this scene is done with the slow motion that I thank Mappa, because they used the slow motion even here, even now, because as much as for the kiss scene, they use the slow motion to represent this extension of time. Even here with the bird, there is this extension of time. So you see that this bird stays in front of Mikasa for us. Thanks to the slow motion, this scene can seem longer. Maybe it was just 1 second. But for Mikasa, that moment of the bird in front of herself putting a scarf on her neck lasted longer, paying the attention on the promise Eren made in season 2 But even understanding, I asked that I said that I missed him, and then this bird came to wrap my scarf around my neck. Wow, I mean, the extension of time matters because it makes you understand that Mikasa was saved that day by Eren and was born to live even this moment. So she has to feel thankful to have survived, even if Eren couldn't, because she was able to connect this scene of the bird, first of all, to leave it. I mean, to leave this scene with the bird. But second of all, to be able to know that even if she feels lonely, something is telling her that she will not be alone, that she's always touched by something, is always together with that something, and that something doesn't go away as much as she thinks that she feels lonely. That bird is there to remind her that she's not alone. She will never be alone. And she will also confirm to herself that Eren made a promise and he kept moving forward to keep that promise alive. So, not only this is pretty meaningful, because we also, when we lose a dear person, we try to find the signs everywhere that are telling us that that person, even if physically speaking is gone, that person is still there telling us something. We try to process this pain even by believing in something, because if you believe in something, it's easier for you to move on, or it's easier for you to keep going on living. Um, Actually, people are like this. There are people who lost a dear person that try to still communicate with that person that is dead. Other people, they try to capture signs somewhere. It can be a cloud that makes the heart shape. It can be a butterfly flying in front of you. It can be whatever, okay? Signs that are telling you, or they let you believe, or you by yourself are believing that those signs mean something. Maybe they don't mean anything, maybe they were not created on purpose, but you prefer to believe so because it helps you to go on living. Some other people, they prefer to keep praying, or to believe in a god, or to believe in heaven and hell, because you think that thanks to this thought, you're able to go on living properly by knowing that one day when you go to heaven, you will find these people again. I mean, these souls again. I mean, you see, it's emotional, yes. But yeah, it depends on people. People, of course, who don't believe in religion, they believe in other things. They believe in these other dimension where they can feel these people, and they really believe that after life there is another dimension where we go, where we can't be seen, but we can somehow, thanks to our energy, do something so the people we love believe that we are here, etc., etc., etc. Even Mikasa notices this coincidence of this bird, like Armin received that feather on his hand. Mikasa is seeing this scene of the bird that is um, wrapping the scarf around her neck. But is this bird the same bird that left the feather to on Armin's hand? Because we saw that this bird flies and goes on after Armin receives this feather. So was that Eren as a reincarnation of a bird that keeps watching them no matter he changed the form, no matter if he moved forward somehow even after life, or it's just a coincidence. Because of what I told you before, people can really believe so because they need to believe on something so they are able to move on. But on the other hand, we should even um, think about the other option that it's more realistic and even heartless, let's say, when we can believe, when we can imagine that all these signs are just coincidences, and they are happening because there is not a specific meaning, but we are giving the meaning to these things. Um, so it doesn't matter how you see these things, if it's just a coincidence of the feather falling down on Armin's hand, or these bird wrapping the scarf around Mikasa's neck. Is it a coincidence? It's not a coincidence, no matter how you see these things. If you have followed this story, you prefer to believe that it has a meaning, that it's not a coincidence, but it quietly refers to Eren looking on them, looking over them, to see the result of what he made, and to see them happy, having a long life, and keep promising the things that he had promised. It's more, yes, it's more poetic to see an ending like this, also because this bird is looking at Mikasa, and he keeps staying over there staring at Mikasa as if even this bird wants to tell her, look, I'm here. You asked for me, I am here. I saw you crying and being desperate, especially in this place where we were always together. I am here. I am not gone. Ah, wow. And in the meantime, the song goes on and it says, the warmth that envelopes my trembling neck. Yes, because in the moment the bird is wrapping the scarf around her neck, we need to remember how the first scene went on between Eren and Mikasa, where Eren gave her this scarf, and while he put that scarf on Mikasa's neck, she was feeling cold, and in fact now, as soon as yes, from the moment Eren put that scarf around her neck, the first thing at that time in the first scene, she said "atatakai." That means it's warm. And in fact, the song represents exactly this. Even in this case, Mikasa was crying. Maybe Mikasa, metaphorically speaking, was feeling cold because she felt lonely, but this neck was wrapped thanks to this scarf that makes her neck feeling warm again. Beautiful. Thank you for the song, Revo, and even a thank you, of course, Isayama for everything. Thank you. Because even these scenes, guys, even these scenes, guys, they give a hope to people who are watching this story. So the fact that Isayama chose this ending instead of the happy ending, the ending where we see the two lovers back together, la 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 la. No, I think this message is deeper. So this story is helping even people who have lost dear people to see if these people are really gone or not. The big mysteries of life are these two, but it gives people hope to believe. Even if you said, keep believing that someday you will be able to find these people back. You will be able to reach them, etc., etc. It's a great message. And the bird flies away because the role of Eren is to come for a few seconds, but then he has to respect his will. That means to move away from her because he considered himself a damage to her. So it's better if that bird goes away, because she has to move on and be happy. That's Eren's will that is well reflected. Eren knows that she needs to be happy, and if he stays there, maybe the loneliness or the sadness can be perpetrated over and over. And Eren doesn't want this. He wants that Mikasa is able to move on, even if, yes, he was pretty selfish requesting some certain things. But those requests, oh, I want that Mikasa doesn't forget me at least 10 years. And I don't want to see her with another man. These are instinctual requests, but these requests are fading away immediately after when Eren recognizes that if he does something like this, he is condemning his lover, and that's not something you should do, right? If you love a person, you have to let her be free to do what he or she wants without putting her or him in a cage, confusing her, or forcing her to live the life you projected for her. So this bird then goes, doesn't stay with her. And we don't know if even for other years this bird came and did the same. Or maybe Mikasa from that moment on, she understood to move on. Or maybe Mikasa was comforted by that sign that made her put a smile on her face, and for her it was enough. But for sure, that instant moment meant a lot to her, gave her the hope to keep going on smiling. And this is so beautiful. The way in which, thanks to these things, you can become happy again, and try to smile again. This scene is very, very, very meaningful. And finally, it's also thanks to this bird that Mikasa stands up. Otherwise, she would have stayed there until the others were reaching, keep crying over there, keep feeling miserable, looking at this grave, looking back at memories, to represent these memories as if they were real, so she would have cried more and more and more. No, she stood up. So this bird that flying away helps her to stand up. That is also how Japanese people feel. I told you, culturally speaking, they believe that you fall down. And in fact, Mikasa was sitting down as if she was desperately trying to recollect her feelings and her sadness, etc., etc. To fall down 7 times, stand up 8. So she's standing up as if someone picked her up and asked her to stand up and restart. This is so beautiful. Also, because even if Eren will not be there and maybe she will restart a life, anyway, that scarf means that Eren is not gone completely. That until she will wear that scarf, that means till death, till her death, and she made that choice with that sorry I can't. She was vowing some things that she wanted to believe in, and she was standing for her thoughts. So Mikasa will never forget about Eren, and that the scarf is a way to not forget about Eren. And that's why I like when she stands up now, looking at that bird. But by standing up, she was already trying to move on. While throughout the entire scene, she was sitting down. That means she was not ready yet. She felt stuck to those feelings too much. That now that she stood up, it was like a phoenix that starts from the ashes, because next to her there's Eren's grave, but she can stand up to see things differently instead of being stuck inside those sad feelings. Stand up and check what you have around, Mikasa. If you keep staying over there thinking about one thing only, you can try to repeat Eren's mistake when he was focusing too much on one thing, forgetting about the beautiful world that is in front of us, that deserves to be looked, that deserves to be appreciated. So you have a vast and multiple ways to check the world surrounding you and trying to find new inspirations, new ideas, even if you don't forget about Eren. Nobody is taking away from you that scarf, but at the same time, try to immerse yourself into new experiences. Keep going on living your life, because that scarf, nobody will be able to take it away from you. You are sure of that. Everyone will respect this will to have this scarf around your neck. So please go and do what Eren couldn't do. That means explore the world. Yes, I know that the bird, that bird's name is Jaeger. Yes, and it's not a coincidence, of course. Isayama preferred, as much as I was telling you, that that was not a coincidence, but it was just something that underlined the promise Eren made. And this was pretty poetic, absolutely. In the meantime, the song goes on and says, I will face these cold countless times. That it's remarking what Mikasa decided to do. Even if that will mean to face cold countless times, she knows that the warmth that she feels when that scarf is surrounding her face, I mean her neck, is priceless. I mean, she knows that warmth will always find its way to let her neck feel warm again. So, wow. And then you see Mikasa's expression that at first she's looking up in the sky to see that bird go away for the moment or even forever, who cares? But that was a sign for her. But then you see after that a surprise that later and gently she is moving her eyes, making this facial expression of stillness, peace, and strength at the same time, because she found the strength to stand up again and to be able to go on living. And in fact, the song says, fight, fight, your words, repeat. Yes, yes. Because even in that episode when Eren was trying to rescue her, she said, Tate, at first, and then Tatakai, Tatakai. So Yes, the message was that stand up and keep fighting. If you stop fighting, you will lose. But those Eren's words are not referred just to conflicts, but they are referring even to the state of mind that you have and the way in which you proceed with a peaceful mind or not, the events that are occurring into your life. In this case, those Eren's words are pretty powerful and helpful because they help you understanding that when you feel down, there is also an up moment coming later. And if you fight against your thoughts that are negative, you can find the strength back again. You can feel positive again to go on. So that the fight is not just be seen to yes, it's a way to convince yourself, but it's up to the moment itself that represents a negative moment or a positive moment. In the case of Mikasa, those Eren's words represent an encouragement. Go, fight to stand up again. It's like as if Eren is saying, I know you can fight, stand up and fight, because I will be here. As long as you will, as long as you will want me to be here, I'll be here. So don't worry. But in the meantime, stand up and try to go on with your life. Now, Mikasa, thanks to this sign, is even more sure than before because she's seeing that nothing is a coincidence for her. So it's a way to push her a little bit and say, I'm here, so go. You miss me, I'm here, but I'm behind your back. But now go. It's pretty emotional. Wow. Wow. And this bird, you see the shadow. You see the shadow because, oh, it makes me emotional. Second, just a second. I feel like Ishikawa Yui, after she recorded this sentence, she cried. Wow. Okay, so this bird that actually was a present because we saw it in front of Mikasa, later becomes a shadow. So it makes you understand the shadow is something you can't physically see. It represents something that you can't see, but it's there. And it's not a coincidence for these two, because Eren lost his body, but effectively speaking, is still there. So that shadow means a lot because even if that's the shadow of a bird, it's his shadow. Isayama, I love you, but I hate you. um, and then the last sentence. But do you remember one thing? When in season 2, Mikasa says this sentence, oh, that is, wait a second. Eren, thanks for wrapping this scarf around me. When she says this in season 2, Eren makes this face. Let's go and check it really quick. It's important. It's important. Eren Mikasa, season 2. Tatakayo, tatakayo. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Ah, here Mikasa is saying Sonna Cotonaio, referring, I mean, it's not true, referring to uh, Eren saying, I can't change anything. I am not able to do anything. And she says, no, you are wrong. If we check the final episode where Armin says that everyone is important, I mean, that everyone has a meaning to live. Eren had this great meaning. I mean, Eren was able to create in Mikasa such unforgettable moments that made her feel alive. So it's impossible that he doesn't do anything. Huh? And even in that scene of Wito Studio, that we say hello to Wito Studio and thank you so much for these incredible first 3 seasons, there is a slow motion even in that scene. Let's not forget about that. Yeah, yes, yes. I needed to tell you something. Wow. And in fact, while there is this confession only in the anime, there are those purple flowers, purplish, bluish flower that they represent this eternal love. uh. You showed me. Wait a second. You showed me how to live with the purpose. Ecco. And did you see? As soon as she's saying that sentence that we see even now at the end of the episode, the light of the sun makes those flowers shine. It's like as if time stopped. And Eren is, of course, he's crying. Wow, again, huh? But his face is like, was in that moment Eren having already a memories of the future? I mean, Eren is already a Shingeki no Kyojin, so maybe from the future, the Eren from the future that is already having a past, a present, and future together, was he showing the Eren of season 2, the ending scene where Mikasa in front of his grave will say the same, she will say the same sentence. And that's why maybe Eren refused to kiss her at that time, because it was not the proper moment to kiss. Because we know how important the last kiss was, the one and only last kiss was, but also because it was better not to kiss her, because that kiss would have influenced him to not move forward and do his things. And it was influencing even her to not go away from him. Let me go on and check other things for a second. At the moment, look, well, this is one of the best scenes. He closes his eyes. He's standing up. I'll wrap that scarf around you as many times as you want. Now and forever, as much as you want. And she wants it forever. And immediately after, okay, there are these, I mean, there are these little lightning, okay, appearing from Eren's hand, and then he's touching Dinah Fritz. But we have never asked ourselves when he is touching Dinah Fritz, not only he gains the power of Palm to send these non-intelligent titans towards Reiner, Bertold, Ymir, and whatever, but those that he feels before touching Dinah Fritz. When he is touching Dinah Fritz, we see that Reiner, Bertold, Armin, Ymir realize that he is the founding Titan. But they didn't show us if Eren saw something from the future even in that moment. Just because we don't see it, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. Because maybe if from that time he could have already seen, I mean, we could see that he could have already seen something from the future, and then history as a scene would have been meaningless. Do you understand what I mean? It was better to let Eren see some things from the future in the moment he is kissing Historia's hand, etc., etc. But we know that every time he is getting in touch with the royal bloodline, something happens. He can see something. He did it with Historia. He also said to Zeke, "It's better if I don't touch you because." So when he touched Dinah, did he release this power only? Or he saw already some things, not late, maybe even late future, where he could see a peaceful scenario. Okay, maybe he was not the protagonist, but maybe he saw, my friends, I see my friends that they are so happy. So what I am doing is correct, because if I saw this thing and probably this thing I can imagine it's already from the future, good. It means what I am doing is correct. But what I'm saying is the power of the Shingeki no Kyojin that makes you feel time connected, past, present, and future. Did it start all from the moment he kissed Historia's hand? As much as he is saying from that moment I saw some, or anyway, the power of the Shingeki no Kyojin to be confused and whatever could also start from the touch with the Dinah Fritz. Also because in season 3 part 1, when we are in that cave where there is the race family, etc., etc., then course, Historia will not kill Eren, but she will try to go against her dad. Eren says, I have been here already. I mean, or something like, this is not the first time that I'm here, that I was here, or I remember this place. Now I don't remember the exact words, okay? And this is the declaration is happening in season 2. So when he touched the Dinah, could he start gaining more and more and more the power of these past, present, and future all together? So then, when he kissed the Historia's hand, he could have been able to manage it more carefully and better. Huh? Because anyway, when you are getting in touch with a new power, especially if you are a Titan owner, it takes time for you to manage it and to develop it in the right way, right? So I'm thinking, did Eren started developing that power from that moment? Somehow, yes. Also, because we see we see Eren punching these titans, but at the same time, the others were connected to his path, because of course they get in touch with the news that he is the founding titan. Is that it? Because those that are coming out before he is touching Dynafritz are developed because of what he heard from Mikasa. So in that moment, Mikasa, that sentence, did he had a flash for a second in which he could see from the future Mikasa crying, so he could develop even this, and then when he punched the Dinah Fritz, the mess was created. We can see things differently, yeah? Because Eren, when he heard the sentence that Mikasa says now at the end, at that time he was like, it was like as if not only time stopped, but like Grisha, when in episode of Memories of Future, when we see that he's showing Eren the key, he's looking and then he's saying, Eren, I will show you. Look at my, he is like hypnotized, or he is, anyway, as if he is not, as if he's shocked, okay? So did the same things happen to Eren too in some or in certain scenes that we could see throughout the previous seasons? At this point, I started believing yes. And then, okay, this scene is over, but and then yes, the song, even now they still resound. I mean, the words, etc., etc. This scene is beautiful, beautiful. If you hear in the song when they say "Tatakae no, tatakae no, torikaezu," um, these "Tatakae to kurikaezu," anata no kotoba. When they say this sentence, there is not only Mikasa's voice actress singing, but in the background you hear even Kaji Yuki as Eren's voice actor saying "Tatakae no, tatakae to kurikaesu." Mm, this is important how this song was made, because definitely the fact that both voice acting are saying these words, your words repeat, and did you see that this bird going, I mean flying away, leaves back a feather? Let's rewatch for a second. No, 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 no. More than one feather, more than one feather. Hmm? So it means Eren is there somehow, and maybe will keep going on influencing the characters, not as before, but did you see even Armin when he received on his hand this feather? He was convinced that that was Eren, that that was a sign. It was like as if as if he was saying, "Go, Armin, go ahead. You're doing the right thing, right?" And even in this case with the Mikasa, it seems to influence her with this sign. So Eren is influencing somehow, even I mean the characters, even now that they are going ahead and he is gone. Very beautiful. I'm trying to go on for a second. Anyway, next time we will start from here, so don't worry. And the song says, even now they still resound. I mean, we are talking about these kotoba, these words. Oh, and then there are the credits starting. So I wanted to pick one video that I found on YouTube where at least the images are bigger because otherwise you can't see clearly. Let me just try to find it back so I be able to watch it. Na 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 na. Oof, where is it? Na 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 requiem. Is it this one? No, okay, but no, it's yes, 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 yes. Oh, yes, I found it. Sorry, I needed a. Okay, but so then you see, you see the first post-credit scene. Okay, yes, it's the same, and it's enlarged so we can see it better. So I can see some people always going there. Actually, I think that this is still the moment after Mikasa received that bird visit. Because you see that all the ambassadors of a piece they are coming over there to visit Eren's grave. So you see Jan, Misa with her ponytail like before. We see Armin, Annie, Peak, Reiner, and Connie. So we see all of these people. Levi is not there. Even if Levi doesn't come, that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about Eren. It's just that Levi now took another path. But Mikasa was waiting for all of these friends coming to visit him. And we see that it is already sunset. It's so beautiful to see that they went there to be even Pick, sincerely. Pick visited this grave, even if she has always said, I'm not Eren's friend, and she didn't even receive any special message from Eren as much as all the others. But let's say that it was nice for her to be there too. Then Okay, then you start seeing that the seasons are going on. So let me see if I can speed. Yes, it's better 0.2. Okay, yes, you see that the seasons are starting changing. So the years are going to pass. We see autumn. Autumn where the leaves are falling down. We see winter where you see all this snow, but anyway, and this is why I decreased the speed of these, because of the small details. I like when I was analyzing the trailers, the same. And you see that when it's winter anyway, a ray of light is still pointing at that tree with the Eren's grave. So these are small details because winter is always considered the season where there are lots of clouds every time it's snowing, and there is no sun shining, right? Okay, not in Japan, because in Japan is the contrary. I mean, in Japan in winter the sun shines like never before. But let's say that in a more poetical way, here it seems as if a winter is considered death, right? The winter season like a death, even of the tree where it's losing his its leaves, etc., etc. But not in this case, because you see anyway these rays of lights from coming from the sun that are pointing at this tree with the grave. Okay. Then snow falls. So you see this winter proceeding in paradise, of course. And then you see how many years passed because the seasons are moving so fast that they don't even let you understand how many years. 1 year. And then, I mean, after many years, because many, I mean, after some years, let me see if I can. No, no, actually, it's 1 year and a half. Yeah, because it's a summer. Mm? So if you put the speed 0.2, you see, okay, let me go back for a second. The winter, okay, that reached, okay, so for example, when they visited, it was spring, let's say, or anyway, reaching the summer. But then you see fall, then you see winter, okay, the snow falls, etc., etc., etc. But then you see other seasons, okay. So let me see if I can catch this. Okay, you see that 1 year passed from the moment Mikasa was sitting on that tree because there is the first spring. Then, oh, wait. Mhm. Then there is a summer. So if it passed the 1 year, it means that was already 4 years from Eren's death. Okay. Then you see again fall. You see winter. You see that. Oh my God. Wait. Spring, summer, fall, winter. Again, spring, so another year passed. There are 5 years that Eren is gone. And when it's a summer, Mikasa is with a man, with a little boy or a little girl, I mean, a little baby. And the baby seems to want to touch the grave, eh? The grave of Eren. Okay, guys, I think that I will stop here because here there should be a long digression about who that man is and what was said even during the after party. Because during the after party, at least I will tell you this, it was said that Mikasa didn't marry or didn't have a child, naturally speaking. In the after party, it was said by, I mean, not by fans, but by people who worked on Shingeki no Kyojin, together, yes, with the voice acting, as much as they were saying about Armin and Annie's destiny, they also said, and maybe I don't know if this will be able to be seen in volume 35 before Levi narrates his background, before there is the narration of Levi's background story. I don't know. But it was said that Mikasa adopted a kid from thanks no from yes, from an orphanage that was handled by Historia. That means that she didn't have a child. She had it, I mean, she didn't have a child, naturally speaking, but she adopted this child. And next time we will discuss about these, okay, the importance that these credits plus the one amazing credit of the boy and the dog. I think that that live streaming will last a little bit longer, so prepare yourself because we definitely need to talk more. Talk more about that scene in particular. But in the meantime, thank you so much for the support, guys. Thank you for joining me even in this live streaming, and see you next time, because next time I'm pretty sure that I will be able to reach the end. Yes, with the boy and the dog. So stay tuned and keep on watching me. Thank you so much. And thank you for all the comments, general reviews. Yes, I read them, even if I didn't answer to all of them. And see you next time, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bye. See you next time. Bye bye. See you.